Weeks after voters decided to keep Taiwan nuclear-free, the South holds its annual nuclear disaster drill. Chips, undersea cables, and AI, all things considered at a top-level forum on Taiwan's national security.
因为 AI 未来是重中之重，所以怎么样让我们的毕业生或者是跨领域的，让更多人可以了解 AI。
Taiwan's biggest annual semiconductor trade show kicks off in Taipei with 100,000 expected to attend. Plus, recriminations after Israel strikes Hamas officials meeting in Qatar for Gaza ceasefire talks. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Liao. Taiwan's 31st annual nuclear disaster drill is unfolding near the retired Ma'anshan nuclear power plant in the country's far south. This is the first exercise since Taiwan shut down all of its nuclear plants, but waste still poses significant risks. Our reporter Irene Lin takes you there to see how locals prepare for a potential radiation leak.
First responders drive around this neighborhood less than 3 kilometers away from a nuclear power plant, telling residents to evacuate. It's the 31st year of Taiwan's nuclear disaster drill, and it's the first since the nearby Ma'anshan nuclear power plant was decommissioned in May. Volunteers go door to door to alert those who have trouble hearing the alarm. It's a new feature this year to better protect people with disabilities and elderly people during a nuclear accident. A key scenario in this year's drill is the impact of natural disasters on rescue efforts. Local shops have joined the efforts by offering up space for medical assistance in case the area becomes inaccessible after an earthquake. Now we're at a backup help center set up in front of a local restaurant. Those injured and evacuees will be sent here for treatment and get scanned for radiation instead of a nearby airport where official help there is disrupted by natural disaster. The Army has also sent a helicopter to deliver aid in the case of the area being completely cut off. Pingtung County Chief Zhou Chunmi, who is against bringing back nuclear power, has come to oversee the evacuation. She says the exercise is important even after the Ma'anshan nuclear power plant was decommissioned, as nuclear waste stored inside could cause radiation leaks during an earthquake or extreme weather event.
处役的过渡的阶段，那我们面临了天然灾害或者外电中断或者其他的这个不可预知的一些灾害的时候，我们的应变都需要透过一再的演练，不容有任何的松懈。
In the neighboring Kending district, just outside the evacuation zone, some are not so concerned about a nuclear accident now that the plant has closed.
它已经埋下去了，它又不是它核废料又不会爆炸，它又不是那个核电厂会爆炸，对不对？干嘛要去演习那个核废料？
While some from outside of Pingtung think the prospect of a natural disaster is a concerning factor for nuclear safety.
我觉得台湾地震蛮频繁的演习是需要的。
While the chances of the Ma'anshan plant being brought back into service seem uncertain, and people here seem confident in their safety, officials who arranged the drill believe it's better to prepare for any eventuality. Joseph Wu and Irene Lin in Pingtung for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is condemning what it calls a dangerous maneuver by China's Air Force as reports surface that Chinese warplanes flew close to a Taiwanese medical flight in June. The plane was flying from Taidong in eastern Taiwan to the outlying Jinmen Islands when 2 Chinese jets reportedly came close enough to be seen by the flight crew. The flight company says there was still some distance between them, but the Mainland Affairs Council, which governs relations with China, says the move shows Beijing's disregard for human life. It also says it highlights China's growing military pressure on Taiwan.
那如果说没有什么反应，可能下一次他就软土深掘，然后采取更进一步的行动。那我觉得未来应该采取这个更严密的监控，就是我们如果说有这种医疗专机准备要飞行，其实就要研判中共可能采取一些骚扰的行动。
China regularly sends military aircraft into Taiwan's air defense identification zone. Taiwan's defense ministry monitored 13 such jets around the country in the 24 hours up to Wednesday morning. In light of these threats, Taiwan's leaders are coming together to strengthen national security in all areas of society. Katie's Quanta reports.
In the face of geopolitical uncertainty, gray zone threats from China, as well as other threats like climate change and changes to international trade, Taiwan's leaders are gathering to discuss how to protect the nation's security. President Liao says Taiwan needs to prioritize resilience in a number of sectors.
在这样的时代，国家安全的内容不再只是军事防卫，更涵盖通讯、金融、能源、治安等多重面向。身为全球民主阵营的重要一员，台湾必须提升国家的整体韧性，才能够确保国家的安全以及永续发展。
Liao also said Taiwan needs to prioritize securing the semiconductor supply chain, which Taiwan plays a central role in, as well as digital and communications security. He mentioned Taiwan's undersea cables, which connect the country to the rest of the world and have recently been damaged, with some experts warning of deliberate sabotage by China. Securing Taiwan's industries was also on the agenda, with the economy minister saying the country needs to make sure the AI industry has enough talent.
因为 AI 未来是重中之重，所以怎么样让我们的毕业生或者是跨领域的让更多人可以了解 AI？ 那这个就是我们要不断的透过训练也好，或者是这个学校的这个加强也好，让这个人力可以充沛起来。另外，台湾的人如果不够之下，我们外籍的人才以及外籍学生大量的延揽进来，已经有更开放的这样的幅度了。
Both leaders also talked about how to help small and medium-sized businesses cope with U.S. tariffs. With the backdrop of global uncertainties, leaders here are pushing for an expanded sense of security, one that doesn't just include military readiness, but also increased resilience in all areas of society. Klein Wong and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's largest semiconductor industry event, Semicon, is kicking off in Taipei. It's bringing in officials and tech executives from around the globe, with the hype giving Taiwan's stock market a big boost. Chris Gorin was at the event's opening.
One of the biggest chip industry shows in the world, Semicon, has opened in Taipei today, and organizers say it's drawing the biggest crowds of its 30-year history. The event will see showcases from more than 1,200 companies across 56 countries, with more than 100,000 visitors expected. It follows 2 days of pre-events that seem to have hyped up the market, with Taiwan's main stock index reaching a new high this morning, led by semiconductor companies. At the opening ceremony, Taiwan's premier emphasized the show's theme of global collaboration and Taiwan as a reliable partner in the global supply chain.
全世界正面临一个关税新秩序的谈判过程，台湾速度比较慢，跟大家都有关系，因为我们还要面临一个232比较复杂的谈判过程。不过，我们认为，基于台湾过去跟台美之间的合作关系，以及各位业界所展现出来在全世界的重要性，我们越被重视，我们越被会合理的一个关税的对待。
While the industry group hosting Semicon downplayed geopolitical and trade tensions.
Again, let's not get bogged down with the geopolitical issues. They will come, they will change, they will get settled. But let's keep focus on what our destiny is, what our strategy is, and just keep going that direction and keep on doing, because we cannot slow down.
The show continues through Friday and will include panels and talks from tech executives on topics from sustainability to women in tech. Now, Semicon is ultimately a business show, and with so many global companies here, we may see some big deals announced over the next few days. Alex Chun and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
As you just heard, one of the main themes of this year's Semicon is women's empowerment. So how are women breaking barriers in the tech industry? Our reporter Ai Chi sat down with Olivia Liao, Vice President of United Microelectronics, one of Taiwan's top chip makers, to find out.
You've been working in semiconductors for nearly 2 decades. Before your current role at UMC, you were the first female chair of Taiwan's operation of Rome, a leading Japanese chip company. Could you share some of the challenges you have faced as a woman in this industry? and how you overcame them?
我觉得如果回顾我这么多年的工作经验，我觉得唯一一个会让我感受到性别这件事情的压力跟挫折，应该是来自于生育。那特别是我有生了3个小孩，那这段时间又比别人长。比如说我在最忙的时候，1个月要出差2到3次。那时候跟我一样位置也是董事长的男性，他就问我说：“哎，你这么常出差，难道你先生不会生气吗？”当我听到这个问题的时候，我感觉很奇怪，我就回问他说：“哎，你这么常出差，你太太不会生气吗？”所以就是说，外在的人对于整个女性，她是有特别严格的一个期待。那我自己很幸运，就是我的先生是跟我一起支撑这个家庭，然后让我们在整个工作上面也都要有一个平衡这样。
While Taiwan's tech industry has been making efforts to promote workplace diversity, surveys show that a gender gap remains, with men accounting for 95% of senior executives. In your opinion, in a field traditionally dominated by men, what unique perspectives or strengths does female leadership bring to this industry?
我觉得可能这个在科技业就比较明显，因为我们大部分都是男性，然后他们大部分对于就是比较核心的技术都是很了解，但是我们女性大部分都是文科，我们在这里面其实常常都需要去懂一些我们其实很像天书一样的一些技术。可是女性就是我们碰到的时候，我自己观察到的状况是，如果男性对男性的时候，好像大家就会比较硬碰硬，然后不会的好像比较有面子，就会装懂，然后就结束。但是女性来讲，我们就会比较，我自己就比较不耻下问，人家也会很乐意的告诉你说啊，其实这是这么一回事，那就会比较容易破冰，然后在这件事情上来讲就比较容易解决。
Can you share any advice you have for people with similar backgrounds who are interested in working in semiconductors or tech? What abilities or qualities would you say are essential to thrive and lead in this field?
其实科技业不是像大家想象这么有趣，所以你如果要投入这个行业，第一个你要有好奇心，就是你要能够知道这个，比如说晶圆是怎么样制造啊，然后几奈米到底是在讲什么，这些东西可能要有基本知识，那你就要有好奇心。第二个你要有热情，就是说你要对于你去参与的这个领域你是喜欢的，那这样你就会工作起来很开心，你就会有兴趣去了解更多，然后就会有更多的学习跟成长。我一开始很年轻的时候是一个就是会希望跟属下做好朋友的主管，后来发现我觉得这样很累，后来我就调整我自己的管理风格。我觉得我现在应该是属于一个比较严格的主管，但我有一个原则，就是我不会帮下属做事情。even 我有一个答案了，我都会等到他把东西做完之后，我再看一次。
就让他自己要自己经历、自己成长，这样子的感觉。
对。
How do you work to empower other women through your role at UMC?
我觉得我最可以让大家被影响到或者是感动到的，应该是我有生3个小孩，还继续在工作，还是一样可以爬到这个位置。所以说，生育这件事情，它不是会让你的机会消失，它只是会短暂的，就是让你停止一下，往前跑。但是那是另外一个体验跟另外一个喜悦。
That was Olivia Liao from United Microelectronics Corporation. U.S. President Donald Trump is urging the EU to impose up to 100% tariffs on China and India. Reuters cited a U.S. official and EU diplomat as saying it's part of a strategy to put pressure on Russia. India and China continue to buy Russian oil, which helps fund the Kremlin's war in Ukraine. Trump is reportedly pushing the EU to slap steep levies on countries that buy energy from Russia. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court says it will rule in November on whether Trump's sweeping global tariffs are even legal. The measures are being challenged by 12 U.S. states and several private companies. A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers is set to visit China later this month. The U.S. House of Representatives delegation will be led by Democrat Adam Smith. It comes shortly after China unveiled its latest advanced weapons at a massive military parade in Beijing, and as trade negotiations between the two countries continue. It would be the first House delegation to China since 2019. It is not yet clear if they will meet with President Xi Jinping. Coming up after the break, students take part in tabletop war games simulating a Chinese attack on Taiwan. Stay tuned.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Hamas says 5 of its members were killed in an Israeli strike on a residential compound in Qatar, but that its negotiating team survived. The attack has drawn international backlash as the war in Gaza rages on. John Van Trieste has more.
Smoke pours from a compound in Doha, Qatar, hit by an Israeli airstrike. Hamas negotiators had been meeting inside to discuss a U.S. proposal for a Gaza ceasefire. The strike killed 5 Hamas members and 1 member of Qatar's security forces. But the Palestinian group says Israel's attempt to wipe out the negotiating team failed. Qatar is angry. It's positioned itself as a mediator, a safe place where enemies like Hamas and Israel can sit down and talk. That's something the country says it will continue to be despite the Israeli strike. But Qatar's prime minister has made his country's anger clear, calling out Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by name.
The Israeli attack that took place today on Qatari soil, we cannot call it anything other than state terrorism, carried out by Netanyahu as part of his systematic policies and ongoing attempts that have destabilized regional security and stability, is simply a clear message to the region as a whole. And this message says that there is a rogue player in this region and ongoing political recklessness that has encroached upon the sovereignty of states. Netanyahu himself declared that he would reshape the Middle East. Does this message mean that he intends to reshape the Gulf as well?
But Netanyahu says Hamas is paying the price for its October 2023 attacks in Israel, in which it killed over 1,000 people and took over 200 hostages.
They perpetrated the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Now, they were meeting in the same place, exactly the same place, where they celebrated this savagery almost 2 years ago. At the beginning of the war, I promised that Israel would reach those who perpetrated this horror. And today, Israel and I have kept that promise.
It's not just Qatar that's enraged by the Israeli strike, though. A stream of world leaders has condemned it in social media posts. And U.S. President Donald Trump is among those who are displeased. The U.S. is a key ally of both Israel and Qatar, but the U.S. says it didn't get enough advance notice of the strike to warn Qatar in time. Trump has hoped for a negotiated settlement to the Israel-Hamas war. The chances of that are now up in the air.
I'll be giving a full statement tomorrow, but I would tell you this. I was very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
All this international backlash hasn't slowed down Israel's war plans in Gaza. Israel ordered the full evacuation of Gaza City Monday, with Netanyahu saying this is just the prelude to what he called an intensified ground maneuver. Nearly 2 years in, the war in Gaza shows no signs of a settlement. Scott Huang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Poland says it shot down Russian drones in its airspace, its first direct military engagement with Russia since the invasion of Ukraine. In a post on X, Poland's military said the drones entered its territory while targeting Ukraine and that Polish and allied air defenses brought them down. Residents in several regions were told to stay indoors, and 4 airports were reportedly closed. The military has called the violation of its airspace an act of aggression. Animal rights groups are calling on the government to better manage Taiwan's stray animal population. This comes after recent footage of a pack of stray dogs attacking a Formosan Sika deer went viral, reigniting concerns that these free-roaming animals pose a threat to the local ecosystem and public safety. Taiwan follows a trap, neuter, return policy to manage its stray animals, but according to the latest official figures, the main island is still home to an estimated 140,000 stray dogs.
这不只是说是野生动物的悲剧啊，更是犬猫自己本身的悲剧。因为对于犬猫来说，它们更需要的其实是一个有人可以帮它们负责提供安全保障的这样一个体系。那我们自己会期待的有一天真正的愿景，其实是犬猫可以安居在人类的家中，生态才可以永续。
The government says it will continue to hammer out suitable regulations to find the best solution to the issue of stray animals. Taiwan's finance ministry says the country's exports have surpassed South Korea's for the first time. Taiwan's exports reached nearly $58.5 billion in August, a more than 34% increase from the same month last year. Taiwan's finance ministry attributed the growth to strong demand for high-end semiconductors amid the global AI boom, while South Korea's exports fell due to Chinese overcapacity. The ministry says Taiwan's total exports this year could reach $600 billion. Taiwan has been working to boost its civil defense amid increasing threats from China. In Taipei, one hands-on class is putting that idea into practice. Our reporter Alan Liu has more.
我要动用1张原我旅的卡牌来打这个9之1。
China pounds southern Taiwan with rockets. In response, Taiwan deploys troops and sets up air defenses. This is not real life, but a tabletop war game involving college students. They're trying to figure out how to respond if China were to attack Taiwan. The game simulates government decision-making during a conflict. Its founder says the goal is not to predict results, but to inspire insights from students.
The first objective is to let the participants and the audience to know more about the military issues about Taiwan. And another thing is our purpose is to simulate the crisis management to let our participants, especially those still freshmen of National Taiwan University, to understand the proper way to conduct coordination and decision making.
During the games, one key challenge students encounter is how to communicate effectively across government bodies. One of the experts in attendance is former Chief of General Staff Li Ximing. He shows this game's president how government functions are likely to be disrupted during wartime. This student president is a business major. She says only by truly understanding cross-strait issues can she make the right decisions. And this war game helps.
无论是在从商业的角度或者经济角度、政治角度，我都认为人民应该具备有良好的两岸的政治的观念，那我们才可以知道，无论是在资产的配置上面啊，或者是未来做商业决策的时候，应该怎么去良好的应对。
Another student says, by playing the defense minister, he started to understand how hard it is to coordinate different forces, especially when trying to report situations to the president in a timely manner.
在战时的时候，其实情势是非常紧迫。那我觉得要在这么短的时间内做呈报是一件非常困难的事情。
Another key to a successful defense is to identify societal infiltration, which relies on efforts made by civil society.
It's important for just regular citizens like the students to understand the threat from Fifth Element infiltration, the Chinese agents that's already in Taiwan, and even as individual citizens, maybe they will gain an understanding down the road how they can do something to prevent these type of damages to Taiwan's critical infrastructures.
As China's military threat grows, Taiwan in recent years has emphasized the importance of civil resilience. These students are seen as an indispensable part of that effort, proving that national defense isn't a distant concept, but something everyone can take part in. Heng Shi and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan beat Germany at the 2025 U18 Baseball World Cup in Okinawa. The team won 8-4 on Tuesday, securing its fourth group stage victory. The game was tied 4-4 before heading into extra innings, where Taiwan broke away with 4 runs to seal the win. The Taiwan team will face South Korea in its first Super Round matchup on Thursday. And thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, we bring you to London, where a new center has opened celebrating the legacy of British songwriter David Bowie with treasures from his archive. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.